This is becoming a habit. 3 videos in 3 days. It's becoming a habit. Maybe I'm becoming addicted to YouTube, like so many other YouTubers that have an addiction to YouTube. I hope I'm not addicted. Actually, I know I'm not addicted to YouTube, but I present a voice. A few of us out there present voices that are not monetized, that present their vision, even in terms of what we experience as life, what we experience, the times that we live in. And I'd just like to, I'll comment a little more after this little introduction by a fellow that I find quite despicable. I actually painted his portrait. He comes from a place called Sarnia. Chris Hatfield, who supposedly was out there in space on the ISIS platform, is not platform space station out there, and he's a voice for the man. He's regurgitating the company line, and I'm going to play this and then have a little comment afterwards. Okay, uh, get a get a little bit of a lesson, a space lesson, from a guy who says he went out to space and floated out there with weightlessness and all that.
The rocket equation, it's a beautiful thing. No astronaut launches for space with their fingers crossed. That's not how we deal with risk. What I learned from 21 years as an astronaut is that the more you know, the less you fear. The reason I wanted to do this masterclass is to share the hidden depths of purpose that are behind space exploration. When the clock hits zero, start focusing in, thinking of nothing else but the moment that you're in. Study every system on a spaceship and then boil it down to what I call a one-pager. You've got to be able to solve your problems in one breath. You have to push your lungs forward through the drag of the atmosphere. Crushed into your chair, you're like a leaf in a hurricane. The reason is 1/2 rho v squared s, 16 times the speed of sound. As you accelerate harder and harder, the light blue Florida sky starts to get darker and darker, and then suddenly black. And the engine shut off, and you're weightless. Turn the handle and open the hatch. You pull yourself out into the universe, and now suddenly, when you move your knees, you can feel the searing heat of the sun on one side and the incredibly cold emptiness of space on the other. When you're no longer Earthlings, how do you navigate? You can use the stars. You can actually see how that place where you were raised fits into the overall complexity and reality of the solar system. You start to unavoidably wonder, are we alone in the universe or not? Our technology is just good enough now that some of you taking this masterclass are going to fly in space. Reusable rocket ships give us access to explore like we've never had before. It will be a great moment of introspection for humanity if you're the person who finds that one little fossilized flower on Mars. I'm Chris Hadfield, and this is my masterclass.
Is that exciting or what? To know how advanced we are as a species. We can actually now plan to go to Mars. He says the future is Mars, not the moon. It's Mars. We've done the moon. We don't need to do it again. We've done it 50 years ago, and we don't need to do it again. We've covered all that. It's not an issue anymore, and this is why I do not trust people that avoid the obvious when you know that there is something wrong here. I made my moon rover mystery video, and what I wanted to just comment on a little bit is something that I'm feeling personally in relation to this YouTube thing. I don't really know how it works, but I suppose I'm largely irrelevant. In terms of the views, I have 1,147 subscribers for the last 3 months. It's the same. It's neither up or down. That's kind of interesting. I guess I'm irrelevant because I don't post. People don't come across me. I think there's some sort of mechanism at work. I'm not even going to say definitively about any kind of manipulation because I understand. You know, I just sort of sit in front, and it's a painter that has images like you see behind me. I have images of work that I make, and I produce paintings and sculptures, and they go into shows, and people come to the shows and look at stuff. And but I don't really sound very relevant to most people, especially according to the views. They've gone down from on average 100, 120, down to now maybe 40 or 50, which is kind of interesting. So people, you know, that subscribe to me, if you actually come across this, if you put the little bell thing, you get a notice when I publish or post something, and maybe you'll get some more in what I'm thinking about, because I'm just going to post because I really like you know, being in front of the camera and posting stuff about fundamentally my opposition to what I understand to be the world out there, the way it works, that we're meant to think is working really well. When you listen to this Hatfield guy, this person that is totally untrustworthy based on the facts that don't match the story, the idea of moon travel and space stations and the way the Earth is attracting everything to it with a mysterious force called gravity. And what is the reality really about? So listen to all the people that confirm what is understood among artists. Good artists have always understood that conformity is not your friend. So as long as you align yourself with a consensual view, conformity, that is largely unproven. So if you say the world is fabulous, functioning really well, it may come as a surprise that there have been more wars in the last 70, 80 years on Earth after the Second World War than ever in the history of worldness. I'm not going to answer this right now, but it's a friend calling. I don't want to interrupt this idea that I have. So here I am confronted with somebody like this fellow that is presenting the vision of a world that is just so wonderful, and it's going to develop into a trip to a planet called Mars. Going to visit Mars. And now all I would say is, Chris, how about going back to the moon, just to satisfy these pesky non-believers? I will become a believer and conform to the consensual view if you can just answer just a few of the fundamental questions about the nature of our reality and what is propagated as truth in this experience. I would like to be really part of something that works. I honestly would, but I can't. I can't comply. I can't comply if I have my doubts. And I am allowed, as a citizen of the free world, to have my doubts still. I can have my doubts, and I can express my doubts, and I will continue to express my doubts even if people aren't watching or supposedly are not watching. Very well, so be it. Put that bell that says you get a notice from me. And I would have great satisfaction in knowing that there are people listening to the ideas I have, because I suppose as an artist, I'm an exhibitionist. I have illusions of grandeur that people may actually get something out of the work that I do. So it's not in total futility. But I also do it for myself because I really like making marks on a surface or making objects that look kind of peculiar and strange. And what is the relationship of those objects to my life experience? That's what I'm saying. What Hatfield is doing, he's just jumping on board of somebody else's story and regurgitating it. He's not creating his own, even though he plays his guitar supposedly on some vehicle orbiting the Earth and regurgitating this character, David Bowie. I've done some stuff on David Bowie. I really have a problem with David Bowie because I think he's a voice for the man, especially when he poses with pictures such as this, David Bowie, a model, a dead white body with a kimono, a Japanese. This is like a Japanese kind of image, and he's looking, see the Baphomet kind of thing he's doing. So you see why I have my reservations about a creative person like David Bowie, who has very seductive music. He seduces us into his world with his music the way I'd like to seduce you into my world with my work. But of course, I don't have the PR firms behind me to propagate my vision, my message. And sometimes I think if I did have the exposure, how would that reflect? How would that affect me? I think because I'm over 60 now, I'm less susceptible to being led astray. I've had my world experiences. I've understood certain things about the reality we live in. And my comment today is a kind of self-reflection and a sort of feeling sorry for myself a little bit. I have to say I feel a little bit sorry for myself because I really do believe in the things that that I make, the art that I make, the ideas that I have. I actually do have a commitment and belief. I have faith in my own ability to perceive and express something of what I understand and how I put things together. I do have faith in myself, and very few people actually do. In the last, I would say, 6, 7, 8 years, the circle of people I relate to has been reduced drastically. Drastically. The number of people that think I'm just a nutcase producing, but as an artist, I can be a nutcase because I have the privilege, which is kind of nice. I have the privilege to be a nutcase. And what I'm thinking is that over the period that I've been posting, I have been confronted and targeted by some very weak hands out there. One that has disappeared is this connecting dots guy and his entourage of attack dogs. There is this Mackenzie clan that comes back occasionally. And for a while, I had like 50 thumbs down on 5 thumbs up on 60 views. So there is a manipulation, and you attack dogs. Where have you been? I still have the same idea and commitment. A person like Kevin Annett, who triggered the Mackenzie bunch, these attack dogs, to come and try to take me down, to intimidate me. It didn't work, Annie. It didn't work. I'm still here making my comments. And another woman who is really superb in her understanding of how despicable this culture that fundamentally supports all life on earth now, this culture of death. She has expressed her outrage around the idea, fundamentally, what I have proclaimed ever since I started my videos in 2009. I already said, if we do not protect children, our ship is sunk, because the children are the future, and it reflects our attitude about ourselves. It's like sometimes I find people come to the studio and they want to, I guess they want to annoy me. They want to insult me. And you know how they insult me? By saying my kid could do that. You probably have heard this. You look at a Picasso, a kind of chicken scribble, and people say, well, my kid could have done it. Whether or not you like Picasso's work, to use your child to abuse someone reflects badly on you, using that excuse. My child, you have a very low opinion of your children, and consequently yourself as well. So don't abuse me by invoking your children. It doesn't work. You see, you're kind of playing into my hand by exposing yourself. And so my thought after I listened to this charlatan, this voice for the man, this gatekeeper, this person who propagates the consensual story that is supposed to keep us invigorated about how well the society is working. We all know it's not working. We're having major trouble in the Pacific Ocean, like my previous video. There is a problem, people. We have a problem. And for somebody to kind of pretend that we're so evolved, we're so technologically advanced, this is part of the ruse to keep us in some kind of version of a story that fundamentally makes no sense. I have understood this makes no sense. This story that we're being told about our culture being so fabulous, it makes no sense. And all my videos and all my exclamations about how I feel myself personally offended by the propagation. I make my videos because I feel so offended, and people like Deborah Mamoudi and Kevin Annett produce the work that they do on video or in real life. More important, in real life, their actions are very, very important to me as an individual. We help each other through our actions, and our thoughts obviously come first. We have to reflect and think. And I've said, maybe I'll end it here. And the notion of presenting you with my personal insight is not so much in telling you what to do, because there is no one out there that can tell me anything that I really don't want to do or that I am in communion with. I have to find this within myself. My inner self has my affinities will result in my own life changing and acting. My inspiration, if I'm inspired, I will change my own life. And there is no point in me telling you what to do, ever. Or I can show my passion and excitement or anger or whatever. Those emotions reflect how I feel about something, but they're not going to really influence anything. What is going to happen, though, this is something that is a subtle point, that by instilling something in your mind through my own thoughts and other people instilling things in my mind through their thoughts, this is the premise of change. I find this to be so powerful. Why I love this medium, why I still continue to make YouTubes. I love the idea that just to settle oneself into, for example, I create a very quiet space around myself in order to produce work. And in that quiet space, I have reflections, thoughts, even versions of meditation. I believe that each artwork is a kind of meditation that I'm involved in, because it's a mystery. I don't know really where it comes from. The manifestation of something that I produce, I really don't know where it comes from. So I think in my own philosophy, idea about YouTube, is you don't need to tell anybody what to do. You can show your emotions and outrage, but it won't matter. What really happens is, if you can inspire someone with your thoughts to just even accept a possibility of something being that you're saying, this is huge. I believe this to be really huge, because I see it in myself. I experience this in myself. It doesn't mean I get up and stand on the barricades, although it's not a bad idea maybe sometimes to protest and barricade. But the most crucial thing in order to turn this ship around is to just, first of all, accept that something is or isn't working. And then we change ourselves. We govern ourselves accordingly. We change our path. We have the ability to bear frustration, which means to accept things we've done wrong. We can change that, because we may be frustrated or annoyed by having to admit that this was wrong. But I'm saying, if you listen to the Hatfields of the world, you're not going to be inspired. What you will be convinced to do is do the same old, because that's his message. Do the same old, Stay on board with the message that we have planned, that we have formulated for you. Don't think for yourself. Just kind of accept the fact that the world is what it is, no matter what you think or do, and we're running it. That's what he's saying. And he's doing it nicely with his little Adolf mustache. He's got this little Hitler Adolf mustache. I don't really get that. That's kind of weird. And you could analyze all the stuff he's doing in this advertisement and the numbers and the shit he's presenting us. I don't want this to get too much longer. So I just thought I'd put up a video and acknowledge the fact that I'm not going anywhere. I don't find myself very satisfied with the view counts and the people that watch me, just like I'm not very satisfied. I do a show and 10 people show up, and I've done dozens of those shows, but I continue to do it in the same way as this, and I encourage anyone who doesn't feel who feels an unrequited love in relation to YouTube, continue to do what you do, because I appreciate it. Like Kevin Annett or Deborah Mahmoudi or Lonnie Clark making her videos, and a few other people that get very few views. I'm not talking about the ones that get like 2, 3, 10,000 views. They do what they do, and maybe they have a message, but I'm really attracted to the people that get very few views. Once I end up with a lot of views, I don't know. I'll make another video about that. And let's see if my subscribership goes from 1147 either down or up in the next while. It's kind of landlocked. I don't understand that, how that works. And yeah, And good riddance to the connecting dots shithead. He's disappeared. I don't know what happened. Maybe they took him down. He was exposed in some way. Maybe and the other Mackenzie Devil types, they have like 20, 30 accounts that they hit you with. And through having expressed my appreciation for Deborah Mahmoudi, there has been a whole contingent of what they call the Hoaxstead bunch, the people that are involved in taking her down, and she's not had an easy time of it either. I feel for this person, and anyway, I just thought I'd here again 3 days in a row.